paid, right? So that's $300,000 to $500,000 gone right there. Not to mention the tax implication. That's another 30%. So that's already $800,000 gone, right? And that's just the mortgage and taxes. Not to mention if you had any other debt like credit cards, so creditors get involved. So your family could get less than half, 30% of what you've actually built if you don't properly protect it.
Theft.
Say again?
It sounds like theft.
Highway robbery, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, what is the difference between a will and a trust? A trust is, think of a trust as an imaginary box. And this imaginary box has all of your important documents and assets in this box. And you're able to lock this box up and give it to someone called the executor. And what this executor is able to do is, if something were to happen to you, this executor executes whatever you have in that box. So it actually bypasses the entire court system altogether. So instead of having a will where it goes to probate court, you ever seen the movies where someone passes and they have an estate and individuals in that will or wherever they actually get a letter and everybody flies in and they sit around this round table and you have this person and they just read off everything. You get the house, you get the car, you get the dog, right? That's a trust. That's how a trust works. All right, that person that gives that executes that trust is the executor, and they actually divvy up or show you exactly who gets what.
So typically the examples of those in movies are typically always trusts. They're not wills. So will is...
So will is can be a part of the trust. Okay. So remember, the trust is a box. Uh-huh. So a will can go in there, your house can go in there, your bank accounts can go in there.
So the trust would be a preferred method as far as being...
Correct. So what we always recommend is once you start purchasing property, once your estate builds to a certain level, you definitely want to consider graduating from a will to a trust, right? Once you have property, once your estate builds to a certain amount, typically we're looking at about anywhere from $500,000 to above. You want to consider doing that, all right? Now, you still need to protect that trust though, because taxes are still going to be levied, right? I want you to take note. I want you to remember back to the Whitney Houstons of the world, Princes of the world, right? When they passed, right? A couple weeks later, you started seeing them doing auctions, right? And you started seeing them doing auctions of their items and things of that nature. That wasn't because they were really, the family really wants their fans to have a piece of them. That was not the case. That's not the reason why. All right? Here's the reason why. They tax you when you make money. They tax you when you spend money. They tax you when you save money. Did you know that they tax you when you die?
Tax everybody or just like some?
Yeah, I was about to say, because you said Princess Whitney Houston, so we are in the same ballpark, or are those just people who make a certain level of money?
Everybody gets, so I don't know if you've been keeping up with politics over the last few months. You heard them talk about this death tax.
Yeah, I can barely
or
be in
estate
churchyard.
tax. What that is, everyone has to file their last tax return when they pass. So what you saw in that process was those families getting a dollar figure to that person's estate. So in the case of Prince, what they want to do once they sell all those items, they're selling those items so they can get a dollar figure for that estate. The reason why they're doing that is so they know what the estate is, so they can tax it. Now, our situation is not as sophisticated, but you're going through this. You're going to do the same. You're going to have the same process, right? Because your estate has to be valued so it can actually be taxed. Now, you can protect yourself from that tax implication. There's mechanisms in place that actually protect your estate. So if you know that your tax bracket is going to be in the 30% tax, and let's say you know your estate is going to be worth $1 million, and you know your tax bracket is 30%, 39%, whatever the case may be, you can have an insurance. So if something happens to you, that policy will pay the tax for that estate. So your family gets the full value of that estate, as opposed to the value less the taxes. All right, that's one of the ways you can protect your estate. I would encourage everyone to consult with a estate planner to get like more details on how to protect your estate. That's just one. There are other ways you can do that. But yeah. So understanding what's to come helps you plan to protect your estate. All right. Any questions on that?
Is there like a certain dollar amount that you should have before you start trying to have some type of estate, I guess, or a trust or whatever? Or is it as soon as you have some type of, own some type of property or some type of this or some type of that?
Good question. Our rule of thumb is when your estate grows to maybe $500,000, you may want to consider getting a trust. For me personally, because of the clients that I see, I always encourage them to actually get a trust in place even before that. As soon as you say I have a mortgage or you purchase a property, you definitely want to consider getting yourself a trust, because there's more things than just your assets that you have to worry about. You have to worry about healthcare directives, like what it was mentioning before. If you are incapacitated and you can't manage your own affairs, who do you leave that responsibility to? Well, if you're married, is assumed that your wife will do that. But if you have that documented, no one can come and say, okay, I have rights to that, right? Things of that nature. So healthcare directives, your will goes in there. Like I said, anything that you consider valuable can go in a trust. Right? So now when creditors come, they can't just come and say, we want to take your house, because it's not in Corbin's name anymore. It's in the trust of Corbin. So now they have to go through another process in order to even have a conversation about that property. Yeah. All right. Any questions? All right, so what I want to do is kind of show you guys when we're talking about building long-term wealth and why it's important to understand the biggest enemy to your wealth as it relates to that. All right? Now, the IRS, Congress, government, wherever you have your money, they're going to only look at it in one of three places as it relates to taxes. Tax now, tax later, or tax never. Now, which one would you choose if you had a choice, even before I even get started?
Tax never.
Tax now, tax later, or tax never?
Yep.
All right. Now, this is not a trick thing here. I'm going to show you, and I want you to think of each of these boxes as if it were a garage, right? If you have your money in a tax now garage, what you're saying is that I want to get taxed every time I go in and every time I come out. So if you're driving up and you're in a tax now financial vehicle, you're going to check with the teller cash guy. He's going to say, pay me. Then you can go in there and park. And then when you come out, you're going to check with the guy again. He's going to say, pay me again. You're like, why would I sign up for that? But I'm going to show you what these are, and you're going to see you're going to see why this is, you get actually taxed several times when you're in a tax now financial vehicle. If you have anything in the bank, you're in a tax now financial vehicle. A checking account, savings, money market. You guys are familiar with these, right?
Mm-hmm.
CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. These are all tax now financial vehicles. And why do you get, or how do you get taxed here several times? Well,